The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke, Kevin Price, and Robbie Ross. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with Crossway Realty.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, joined as always by head writer and podcast host Kevin Price. Kevin, how you doing today?
Good, Sean. Good to be with you again, talking sports again here in the 912.
Yeah, a lot going on, Kevin. We're right in the middle of basketball, wrestling, swimming. Got a lot of stuff that's going on, but we're going to jump right into it. Last week we did a big thing on wrestling. Everybody was off at sectionals, at prelims. We had some teams make it through to the Elite Eight. We'll get to those in a little bit, but let's go back and talk about the teams that didn't make it, and because they had a good season to get to where they were, but their dual season is over. They're all getting ready for traditionals. But we'll start off in the girls bracket. We had Long County, who wound up losing to Lumpkin, and we had Toombs County, who wound up losing to Southeast Whitfield. Both of those teams, and really, Kevin, in our area, we don't really have a lot of girl wrestlers, at least enough to do the duels, because you have to have pretty much a wrestler in each weight class.
Yeah, you have to have a whole team or pretty close to it to be able to compete. It's a team competition for the duels, so you got to be able to fill out a roster. And as you know, some of our better girls in the area do compete with the boys during the season. One right there in Ware County, who was our girls student athlete of the week, or of the month, sponsored by Coastal Pines. So if you missed that, go to our website and check that out. But hopefully the girls will kind of gradually catch on, and we'll have more and more in the years to come and be able to fill out complete girls teams going forward.
Exactly. But in single A, we had Charlton County, who went in as a 4 seed. They wound up losing. And then also McIntosh County, they wound up losing as well. So their season is done, getting ready to focus on traditionals. And moving on into the AA bracket, Kevin, we had 5 teams that went into the AA bracket. 2 teams advanced, and we'll get to those in a minute. But we wound up having Jeff Davis, Vidalia, and Pierce, who wound up losing there in AA. So they'll be getting ready to focus on traditional wrestling as well. Moving on up to 3A, we had Long County that wound up losing to Lafayette. So Long County's done there, our only team in 3A. Then moving on up to 4A, We had Benedictine, who's not in our coverage area, but we do feel like that they're part of this area. They lost to Southeast Whitfield. Wayne County wound up losing to Sonoraville, and New Hampstead wound up losing to Heritage. So all three teams there from 4A, good seasons, but they're done for the duels. Moving on up to 5A, we had three teams in 5A, Kevin. Coffee actually won their first round, beat Chattahoochee, but wound up losing to Harris. Ware County wound up winning their first round, beating Kell, but wound up losing to Cass. And then Statesboro lost their first match to Cambridge. So all three of our 5A teams there are done for duels for this year. And then in 6A, we had Brunswick, who went out losing to North Forsyth. Now, I know Brunswick had a high ranking at the beginning of the year, but North Forsyth's nothing to sneeze at there, Kevin. A really good wrestling program.
Yeah, Brunswick, one of the top 5 teams in the state. Actually, at one time in 6AA, the number 1 team, and of course ended up in a tough bracket after finishing second out of their area, with South Effingham winning that area and Glenn finishing third. We'll talk about those two teams in a moment. Brunswick ended up in a tough bracket with a good North Forsyth team, and actually ended up losing that match, which kept them out of duels. So hopefully Brunswick can regroup in time to make a good run in traditionals.
Right. And then we get to the old Standard Bearer there in 7A. Camden County, solid. Moving on, they're going to be in that bracket there at Buford. That's going to be some really good wrestling there. So we'll talk a little bit about them here as we get into it. But let's go back to AA, Kevin. We had 2 teams make it from AA, the Brantley County Herons. I think Brantley went into this thing. I think they went into it as a 3 seed, Kevin, and advanced there. So some really good wrestling going on down there at Caney Bay.
Yeah, that's awesome to see Brantley, into the Elite 8, I guess, if you will, the Final 8, it should be called. And then also Toombs is there as well. And I know Toombs, one of the top teams in AA from the start. And unfortunate that I guess Jeff Davis won't be there. They'll be hosting this dual Final 8 for the state championship. So I think that is the Final 8 competition that's the nearest to us. So if you want to get out and see some good wrestling this weekend and want to stay here in the 912 area to do it, that's going to be where you have to go. Of course, all these things will be on the NHFS network, so you can follow it around the state if you like one of these other schools from the 912, or you can go. But should be some good wrestling there, and hopefully Brantley and Toombs can represent our area well. And I guess, Sean, they are on opposite ends of the bracket, so they couldn't meet in the winner's bracket, at least, until the championship round. So that's a good deal. Until the championship match, if they were to both make it that far.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how that sizes up. But like I said, Brantley started this journey as a 3 seed. Toombs started it, I believe, as a 1. Wasn't there a 1? Yeah, they were a 1 out of that region over there. So, really good wrestling there for both of those teams. So congratulations to both of them. Be interested to see where everything shakes out there. Those matches are this Saturday, the 21st. So check it out, like Kevin said, if you want to watch it on NHFS. It's there for the taking. Moving on up to 6A, which is where our next teams are going to compete. You mentioned this a little bit earlier in the broadcast, Kevin. You got South Effingham and Glenn. South Effingham goes in as a 1 and advances. Glenn goes in as a 3 and advances.
Yeah, South Effingham, won the area that South Effingham, Brunswick, and Glenn are in. They were 1, 2, 3 in that order. So South Effingham had a little bit of a tough draw too, I think, but did make it out of the area. And then Glenn, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but I think they were really wrestling well there at the end of the year. Gave a run for their money in that area meet. Very easily possibly could have finished as the number 2 seed, but you know what? It may have worked out in their favor to finish as the number 3 team, because they went into that sectional competition and rolled right through the competition, winning 2 matches very easily. One of those matches also against Alexander, Perennial Power, one of the better teams in the state in the upper classification. So Glenn's on a roll. This is their, they've got a new coach there who's doing a good job as well. So Glenn's going to carry some momentum in the state, and going to be good to see the Red Terriers there and get some good experience. And hopefully South Effingham can represent the area as well. And like I say, going to be a little disappointing not to see Brunswick there, but hopefully they'll be all the more hungry going into the traditional part of the season and make some noise at the state level when that rolls around.
Yeah, it should be some good wrestling. But getting back to South Effingham, they were able to beat Paulding County and then defeated Jackson County to move on. And like you said, their Glen Academy was able to beat Alexandra, and then they were able to beat Dunwoody. Two quality programs there. So congratulations to those guys as they move on there in 6A, part of the Elite Eight. Like you said, Kevin, really the Final Eight, because it's not a win and keep moving on. This is it. This is it for the final round there. But moving on up to 7A, of course, we know Camden's there. Camden's always going to be there. Camden jumped out, was able to beat South Forsyth, and then also Hillgrove to advance. But Kevin, like we talked about really last weekend, this week, what makes this so interesting is Camden's been the big dog. They've been number one, and now they're sitting there wearing that underdog shirt, running in as a 2 seed behind Buford, who's going to be hosting this event. Going to be really, really exciting this Saturday up there at Buford for this big 7A match.
Yeah, Richmond Hill didn't make it out, but Camden did. And, I think everybody's probably been anticipating a Camden versus Buford showdown all year. And, Camden's been the big dog in the state's largest class for a long time now in duals and traditional. And now they're going to meet their match, so to speak, you would think, in Class 7A. And, of course, they're going to have to go through Buford at Buford most likely to win this thing. Buford to host a team for the 7A duals. And, if it were to materialize, the Wolves would be there on their home mats taking on Camden. And that's going to be one heck of a showdown. And, of course, when you get to the traditional part of the season, I would think both of those teams are going to qualify a heap of wrestlers to meet in Macon as well. And they very well could go head-to-head for some state championships in a lot of weight classes. And the state title could come down to, those two teams again who can accumulate the most points in traditional as well. So Camden against Buford, this is probably just showdown number one. We'll see showdown number two in Macon. But if you really love wrestling, you're kind of licking your chops and getting goosebumps thinking about this matchup, because it could be really good.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see. And Camden's got quite the streak going on. I think it's 8 duels in a row, 7 traditionals in a row. So a lot on the line there for the Camden County Wildcats. So we'll see how it shakes out. And you mentioned Richmond Hill. Yeah, I did not mention them in the losers bracket, but they did. They were actually able to advance. They beat Forsyth Central and then wound up losing to North Gwinnett to get knocked out. So another great season for Richmond Hill, and another team in 7A that'll have some of those guys there at traditional wrestling for state there. So I don't think Richmond Hill's done by no means this year in wrestling. We'll be hearing from them again. So, but hey, let's take a quick break. We got some more football to talk about on the other side of the break. But you're watching On Air with 912 Sports. We'll be right back after these messages.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Spoke, joined by Kevin Price. And Kevin, big day in Athens this past Saturday as the Georgia Bulldogs celebrated their back-to-back national championships. The stadium was packed, had a big parade. People came from all over the state of Georgia. I don't know how many people were there, but it might have been the same amount of people that would be there for a regular ball game. I know they didn't put people in certain parts of the stadium, but I don't think everybody that wanted to get inside got inside. I think some of the people had to stay out there, to view it as a part of the parade and part of the dog walk. But a big celebration there in Athens this past Saturday.
Yeah, a lot of red and black all over Athens town. Of course, they lined the streets. A lot of people I saw, said they were in the same spot they were last year, and they got there well before the parade to make sure they got that spot. They liked it so much last year, they wanted to get back and get the same spot. But, every corner they turned and every aerial shot I saw looked like, people were everywhere. And, of course, I really don't know how many people got into the stadium for the the presentation of the trophies and all that kind of good stuff and the speeches. But, it was crowded on that one side of the stadium that they did have opened up, and just a real festive atmosphere there. A cold day, but the cold didn't keep the people away. They were there and ready to, celebrate that championship with the Georgia Bulldogs, who went back-to-back, of course.
Exactly. A lot of good news coverage there. Like I said, had that long dog walk from, I guess that's Lumpkin all the way down to, to the stadium. Several kids out there getting autographs. I mean, just a real festive atmosphere. And like I said, everybody was, having a great time and celebrating that, that back-to-back national championship. And it just is, Kevin, as quick as it can go from the highest of the highs, it can go from the lowest of the lows. As most people woke up Sunday morning, we heard about the tragedy that took the life of Devin Wheelock and also Chandler LaCroix. Devin's a player for the football team. Chandler was one of the recruiting analysts for the football team, and just a unbelievable tragedy there that happened Saturday night or really Sunday morning.
Yeah, and, like you said, a lot of people woke up to the news early Sunday morning. Of course, this happened wee hours in the morning, Sunday morning, Saturday night. I actually got my day started Sunday before 8 a.m., so I was up and out of the door and, I guess was maybe already aware of it before a lot of people. And I think people that went to church Sunday morning and, got out, a lot of people, the story had already unfolded a lot by then. Were, kind of catching it for the first time as well. And, when I heard it, it really just, obviously very tragic, very heartbreaking and just devastating. And it really just immediately dampened, my spirit and just kind of put a damper on everything that happened just the day before. And, certainly the whole week before. And then, as I was, reading some of the stories and some of the social media posts and saw the name Warren McClendon being involved in the accident. Of course, Warren's from right here in Brunswick, Georgia. He's one of those Golden Isles Bulldogs that we talked about, making it special to see, one of the 912 area code guys on the team. That kind of brought it home. And for me to find out that he was involved, but then also was okay, I was relieved at that. But then at the same time, I kind of felt guilty for, I kind of had some selfish feelings because, family and friends of the two, kids that lost their lives didn't get to have those same, feelings. So just a mixture of emotions all Sunday for me, as a alum of that school and a football fan. And just I know there was a lot of good NFL football on, but yesterday, but kind of frankly, I really didn't care. It just kind of ruined my Sunday. And then, I think watching, here we are actually honestly taping this segment on Monday. A week ago, we were getting ready for the national championship game, and that's one of the most exciting athletic memories in Georgia football history and University of Georgia athletic history. And then, not even a week later, and just hours after a great celebration, one of the lowest of lows happened. So it just tells you how, crazy life is and just how fragile life is. And I know, everybody here on the staff at 912 Sports, our thoughts and prayers are certainly with, the families of the two that lost their lives, and just really everybody that's much closer to this situation than we are. But it just puts everything in perspective in a heartbeat, that's for sure.
Exactly. And it seems like Georgia's handling it the right way. They've got grief counselors in place. And I mean, listen, it was tough on us, Kevin, but you got to realize, I mean, these kids practice with this young man on a daily basis. They saw, Chandler, I don't know if on a daily basis, but definitely on a weekly basis and at these events and stuff. And I mean, it's just, it's hard for them to understand and to get their mind around, what happened. And it looks like Georgia's doing the right thing and putting grief counselors in place and, having these kids being able to talk to people because, I mean, after a tragedy like this, it's important that you do address it and you do, try to figure out some way to cope. And everybody's going to, cope with grief differently. But kudos to the University of Georgia for doing the right thing there.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they have those resources in place, all the time anyway. And certainly they're going to be needed at a time like this. And you're right. Everybody's going to cope with these things differently. And everybody, may use those resources in a different way, but they're there. However, all the kids involved in that program, whether they're players or coaches or staff members are going to need them. So, obviously, I'm assuming, the off season will start this week. I mean, it kind of starts under a dark cloud and, you do have to get back to normal at some point and everybody's going to feel, guilty in doing so. But I guess you just do the best you can. And, certainly you cherish the memories you have with those two. You hope the other ones that involved are going to be okay. And you just kind of pick up the pieces and move on. But, certainly times are going to be tough around there for a while. And like I say, you just kind of hang on to the memories and just kind of, cherish what you do have. And I know for Warren and a lot of the other guys, they're going to probably, play out their careers with their teammate in their mind going forward and realize that, he's not going to be able to play football anymore, but they can certainly give it their all for him because that's what he would want them to do.
Exactly. And also, like you said, Kevin, all of us here at 912 definitely send our love and prayers to both the family and friends and really the whole Bulldog Nation, over this tragic loss. But, hey, there was another game this past Saturday. It was actually a high school all-star game held right here in our area. A lot of teams from our area were participating in this. This was the Blitz Border Bowl over in Memorial Stadium in Savannah. It featured two teams. It featured a Coastal Empire team, which is really a Georgia-based team, versus a South Carolina team, which they called the Low Country team. The Coastal Empire won that game 20-0, and we had kids all on both sides of the ball of that roster. We had players from South Effingham, Statesboro, McIntosh, Liberty County, Long County, New Hampstead, Richmond Hill, and Effingham all were a part of that Coastal Empire team. So kudos to those guys. And really, Kevin, a lot of our heavy hitters, guys that were part of our all 912 team like Rayvon Grant and Lake Linton, people that were part of our, players of the week. And let's see, the kid from Liberty, his name's escaping me right now. I think his last name was Somerset, but also, some other players from McIntosh that we knew pretty well, Jerice, Jerice Campbell, Ty Golick from Richmond Hill. So really some heavy hitters from our 912 area helped bring home that win there for the Coastal Empire team.
Yeah, we had some kids in some of the other all-star games that were played, and we've already mentioned those, and this was another one. I guess, maybe did involve more area kids with it being played right here in the, area with it being in Savannah. But, it maybe played a little bit later than some of those other ones that were played over the holiday period. But, good to see all those guys, kind of getting their name in lights, so to speak, another chance for them to showcase their skills. It's kind of like the all-region and all-state teams. There's a lot of them, and but again, it gives a chance to for these kids to be in the spotlight, get their name out there, show what they're all about, and I guess in a way be rewarded for great seasons and to showcase their skills, like I say, to coaches that in the at the next level and maybe be seen and spotted by somebody who maybe offer them a scholarship down the road and give them a chance to further their careers at the next level.
Exactly. And let's face it, that's what this is. This is a showcase for guys at the next level to see these kids play. These games are always filled with all kind of scouts, all kind of coaches, looking to fill roster spots. So that's one of the ways that these guys can do, especially if they've got a kid on their radar, they can go watch him play in person against stellar competition. But again, hats off to the Coastal Empire team for winning that game 20-0. So those guys, a lot of those guys were seniors. So don't know if that's the last time they'll ever get a chance to put on a helmet and shoulder pads. For some of them, I'm sure it was. But for others, that it should be an opportunity knocking to move up to that next level.
Well, and speaking of All-Star games, Sean, I just thought about it. David Stanfield, who played at Glenn Academy, their long snapper, who, of course, is going to Navy. He's in that Polynesian Bowl. And I'm trying to think exactly when that is, but it's right here in late January. I saw him post over the weekend that he has arrived. I think that game was out in Honolulu or somewhere in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Mark Rick is the coach of one of those teams. I saw one of his Twitter posts. He had all his swag there, his sneakers and his sweatshirts. Well, probably doesn't need sweatshirts, but his shorts and T-shirts and all that. And then, also some of these college all-star type things are out there as well. Speaking of that, Jack Podlesny, of course, Georgia's kicker, was not at that celebration, that parade Saturday in Athens. He was in the Hula Bowl down in Orlando, kicking for one of the teams. So he had already accepted an invitation to play in that game prior to the national championship game. So he honored that commitment, of course, and missed the celebration there in Athens. And I believe he's also committed to play in the Senior Bowl, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. And it came out over the weekend that Stetson Bennett also may get invited to that game. Of course, it remains to be seen whether he's going to be drafted or not. And of course, Stetson created some controversy, I guess, on Saturday with some of his remarks and maybe the way some people thought he acted toward the fans and whatnot. But we'll just leave that right there. But he did create a stir with his sweatshirt as well, which got some social media presence. So Stetson remains in the spotlight. You just never know what for. But he may wear that Georgia G helmet again one more time, because I do feel like he's probably going to be in that Senior Bowl, and I think he definitely deserves to be there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Most definitely deserves it.
And he would be one of the biggest storylines at that game as well, because, obviously the quarterback at the two-time defending national champs, but then also does he get drafted? The whole Stetson Bennett story all over again.
Exactly. Well, I for one hope he plays just just for the exposure, just to see him, out there on the field, one more time. Which and listen, I think the kid's going to get an opportunity to play at the next level. Now, no, he's not going to be a first round draft pick by no means, I don't think. But I think the kid's going to get an opportunity, and I think he's shown enough to deserve an opportunity. So we'll see how all that plays out come April when the NFL draft rolls around.
And I would hope by then he's doing media interviews again, even if he wants to get something off his chest. Do the media interviews, tell your story, say what you got to say, promote yourself, which is what that's all about. Tell the draft experts and all the coaches why you should be drafted and how you'll be valuable for their team if you do it. But I do think he deserves to be there, and hopefully if he does get a shot to be there, he'll perform well in practice, which is as much as what that game is about, because all those NFL guys are there watching every move those kids make in practice, and that's just as important as that one game, the Senior Bowl game itself.
Exactly. But that's going to wrap it up for us. Hey, appreciate everybody watching. We'll be right back here with more On Air with 912 Sports right after these messages.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
The Georgia Bulldogs were hot on the recruiting trail last week and made their presence felt right here in the 912 area code. Just 4 days after trouncing TCU in the national championship game, Georgia coaches headed to select locations in the Peach State last Friday to visit with future recruits. The Bulldogs' mission, which they labeled 10 in 10, had 10 of their coaches each going to 10 different high schools in the various sections of the state on Friday, so they would cover 100 different schools in all by the end of their day's work. The mission had 3 Georgia coaches traveling from school to school by helicopter, and of course, Georgia head coach Kirby Smart was one of those. So was Georgia's tight ends coach Todd Hartley, the recruiter assigned to Southeast Georgia. The Bulldogs made a big splash on social media as well, as you might expect, with the coaches posing for pictures with coaches, principals, teachers, and random fans at their stops along the recruiting trail. Here in Southeast Georgia, Hartley visited 2 schools each in both Brunswick and Valdosta. Those schools were, of course, Glen Academy and Brunswick High, and Lowndes and Valdosta. In Brunswick, freshman tight end Hez Kent also received an offer from the back-to-back national champions. The 6'6", 245-pound standout posted on his Twitter account Friday evening that he had received an offer from the Bulldogs earlier on Friday. Kent also has a few other Power 5 offers already. Hartley also made his way down to see the Camden County Wildcats, visited the Charlton County Indians over in Folkestone, where 5-star tight end Elias Williams plays, went to see J-Bo Shaw and the Wayne County Yellow Jackets, and checked in with the Class 5A state champion Ware County Gators as well, while also seeing the Pierce County Bears in Blackshear, where, of course, Stetson Bennett played his high school ball, and he also went to see the Clinch County Panthers in Homerville. The Georgia coach also went to Moultrie to visit the Colquitt County Packers and also made a stop at Berrien High School. Meantime, Mike Bobo paid a visit to Ludowici to see the Long County Blue Tide, while also going to see some of the Savannah schools. The Georgia coaches were back in Athens on Saturday for the National Championship Parade and celebration inside Sanford Stadium. On Tuesday, Kirby Smart was back in Southeast Georgia making the rounds again. The Georgia head coach was in Brunswick at both Brunswick High School and Glen Academy before going down to Kingsland to visit with the Camden County Wildcats and head coach Jeff Aaron, and also the Charlton County Indians in Folkestone, where he was also supposed to check out some of Charlton's basketball game on Tuesday night before wrapping up his day here in the 912. Georgia signed the nation's number 2 recruiting class during the December early signing period. National Signing Day is coming up on Wednesday, February 1st. For On Air with 912 Sports, this has been Kevin Price reporting.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal!
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.